Today we're going to be solving some of the archived toggle puzzles from 2025. If you'd like to give it a go yourself, you can play along at notepadgames.com. So let's take a look for where the first puzzle is. There we go. Start with number 1, 3 toggles remaining. The goal of the toggle is to turn all of these darker black or gray cells on. They turn green, and when you toggle, all of the neighbors get toggled as well, including the cell you clicked on. So we have to try and move the values or the switches all kind of in one direction, flowing across the grid. Not sure if that was the first or a correct starting point. I'm going to try shifting a little bit. Just kind of seeing how the grid works. There you go. When you get a pattern like this on the hex grids, if you toggle this cell, that should complete the puzzle. So that was the first toggle of the previous 2025. Let's jump in and go to the next puzzle. Grid is very dark to start on this one. This seems like a suspiciously convenient cell to work with. If I toggle this one, this is going to get left on, and that seems quite messy. But I'm not sure how else we're going to toggle this top cell if it's not with this or this. Maybe our first action, maybe that is a red herring. I'm going to go over there then. I'm going to just see how this plays. We still then need to get this cell. We toggle here, it leaves a lot of mess again. So that doesn't seem correct either. Perhaps this cell leaves some messiness over here. And we're not, let me just reset to clear. Not seeing anything quite obvious at the moment. It's an interesting, some of these puzzles, you either see it or you don't. And today it feels, or number 2, it feels like I am in the I don't see it part of the group. This cell just keeps calling to me. It's hard for me to ignore it. I'm just wondering if there was something that I missed in that was the path to the solution. I'm thinking, no, if you see it and you could solve this faster than me, you're screaming at the screen. You are probably going to be much better than me at these puzzles then. Some people's minds work in many different ways. I think I see it now. So this was our first cell to go with. If we go there, now you can see you have this grouping of 4, and then we have this grouping of 4, which can each get toggled like that. That was a challenging puzzle, just number 2. Moving on now to number 3, different shaped, back to a square grid with this pattern down here. 5 toggles though, which seems like a lot for this small area, so we just have to jump right in and give it a go. I'm wondering if this is going to be used in the end, but let me start here. And then we have to get this one down. So I'm going to go to the one next to it, which now leaves us with some interesting space. I'm thinking if I do this one, and this one, that might activate the whole grid. That was the solution. With less neighbors, sometimes these square puzzles can feel a little easier, but that's not a guarantee. Let's jump right in. This is a daunting looking puzzle. A lot of choices, 5 toggles. This space down here looks a little complicated. So I'm going to start with some of the low-hanging fruit. Just see where that gets me. See, as that gives us a nice symmetrical pattern. Perhaps now this one, but then it just leaves this mess. That doesn't seem right in 2 more toggles. So I wonder if we're thinking about symmetry, we can start drawing, but what does that do? That's not the point of the game, although it looks kind of cool. Let's see. To get this cell, we have to hit one of these three if we're moving the lights down, and that I don't see that as a solution. So I'm wondering if our starting point is not correct, although it feels convenient. I mean, we could hit that one, and again, we get this cool little, almost like an animal print or an up arrow, but that is not the point of the game. So perhaps we just explore the grid a little bit with some other toggles, just to kind of, again, there we go. Sometimes you just got to explore to see how everything shifts. And so now we've shifted all the lights this way, solving, I think that was number 3 or 4 of the 2025 pack. That was number 4. Let's jump on to number 5. Ooh, interesting. Very few lights turned on already, or very few lights turned off. We likely just need to shift everything to the corner. There we go. There wasn't much to do in the rest of the grid, so it was really constrained in that corner. Much smaller puzzle here. 4x4 grid, but still 5 toggles. So again, I'm just going to work through the grid, kind of shifting everything to the corner. There we go. Just like the last puzzle, it had that same kind of feel. We were just moving the lights along the edges. Trying to just make sure we don't leave behind any stragglers. This one's only 3 toggles. So we don't want to turn off too many lights in our process because we're not going to be able to turn them back on if we do that. But 3 toggles feels like you should see it almost instantly once you make your first move, because there's only so much you can do after. With 2 moves remaining, you don't have many options. It's getting both of these means, we either use this toggle, or we're going to have to toggle this one, or toggle this one and this one. And I'm not immediately seeing how that all plays together. Okay, so if we think about it with that idea, to get this cell, we have to toggle one of these 3. So we know one of these 3 has to be activated. So if we start with the one in the corner, it does push stuff this way. It doesn't leave off. It doesn't turn off too many more cells. It moves us in the correct direction. And then I'm wondering over here, it would get those, but it would also turn all of these off. So that's a no-no. This, again, leaves us with an impossible action. If we go with this, so I'm thinking, my gut is saying that is not our first move, or one of our valid moves. It's not a guarantee, but we have this one we could go with. And now we've shifted some of this coloring this way. Again, if we want to get all of these, to get this cell, we're going to have to hit this one or this one, which turns that back off. We could go with that one, but that's not going to give us much of a solution. So I am thinking that this is our correct first option through some reasoning or trial and error there, however you want to see what that exploration was. From there, this cell has to get flipped. And to flip this one, right, we have a lot of options. This seems like, oh, and there you go. The solution is clear. I'm not sure if I was staring at that earlier and I missed it. Maybe I made that puzzle much harder than it needed to be. But that was toggle number 8 in just about 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Let's move on to number 9. See how we go. 5 toggles remaining. Another of these 4x3 hex grids. This cell is hanging out by itself in that bottom right corner. So it's going to have to get shifted along. If we go with this, we leave this one hanging out alone. These lights like to be with their friends. This looks potentially promising. Brings us this way. But that leaves us with this opening here. 3 toggles remaining for these 2 lights is a lot of cells that you have to toggle on this grid. So if we again kind of think about it step by step, this cell needs 1, 2, 3, or 4 to be flipped. We could do that, and it does make a mess of the grid, but we have a lot remaining, so that's not an immediate impossibility. This one seems unlikely because we'll then have to toggle that one again, and it's going to bring us a bit of a mess. So these 2 together, I'm not thinking that would be in our solution. Perhaps that means this one is unlikely to be in the final answer. This leaves this off, and we're shifting our activities over, but we're struggling to get some or all of these into the same state. So if I start here, because that has a lot of effect on the grid, and then we go here, we've shifted up to here. We now have this cell this looks promising, there we go, and we've gotten again to this corner pattern where we have the 1 corner with the 3, finishing that puzzle. I think that was number 9. Perhaps we go for 1 more, toggle number 10. Nice square grid, easier for my mind to think through. This is suspiciously, all 4 of its neighbors are off, so I'm going to go with that as my starting point. This needs to shift over, so if we shift our lights all the way over, 2 remaining, does this and this gives us the solution. That was toggle number 10 of the 2025 pack. And if you want to give these a go, feel free. Just log in, or you don't even need an account at notepadgames.com. It's also available on the App Store. And let me know how you guys do.